Hello, Icons. It's Sean Kokoska, founder of Icon Coaching. And today, you guys, I am fired up, man. We've got Jeff Quintin, who's just a rock star mega agent over at Keller Williams, who's also gotten into expansion and everything else. So I'm very excited because when I spoke with Jeff, I said, is there anything off limits? He said, absolutely not. I said, compensation. Can we talk about compensation models? He said, absolutely. In fact, he's going to introduce you guys to a net profits interest model a little bit later during the webinar. So tune in. By the way, you can ask any questions you like. Like I said, there's no holds barred, right? There's nothing is off limits. Jeff, welcome to the Icon of the Month webinar.
Sean, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate being here. It's an honor and a pleasure.
Hey, buddy. Well, I'm fired up. It's an honor for me as well because you are just crushing it, man. You're crushing it. Tell me, transaction goal volume this year, where are you going to end up?
You know, we're tracking about 100 million or so right now at our hub, and with some interesting new acquisitions of teams and so forth, and even independent brokerages coming in into our expansion business, it can really, I think for 2020, it's going to really kick off. So this year we're shooting for 100, let's just say, as a total. Next year we should be probably closer to 200 based upon some of the acquisitions and expansion things that we're going to as far as volume is concerned. So 250 transactions, roughly around 400,000 average sales price, which gets us 100 million at our hub, more or less, is what we're shooting for and tracking as of right now. We should probably hit that, just close to that.
Fantastic, Jeff. Congratulations on the success, by the way. Now, guys, one thing I want you to just pay attention to is that Jeff didn't just start there, right? So, Jeff, let's go ahead and rewind the tape a little bit, buddy.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did you get into real estate? And let's talk about that first year. What did you really learn during that first year?
Sure. So, you know, like myself and like you guys, I mean, we've been around a while, right? So we've been veterans in the business for a long time. So for me, I started in 1992. And right out of high school, more or less, I got a job working at a bank actually in the second floor. It was like the financial department. And then an opportunity came up to work the drive-through as a teller. And everybody remembers the drive-through. People actually went there to cash their checks back then. Ultimately, in the drive-through, got to see, you know, my weekly check was about $300, and then I got to see the real estate commission agents coming through cashing their commission checks, which were $3,000. So I ultimately inspired me. I got to know a lot of the real estate agents in town, the brokers in town. We got my real estate license, jumped in the real estate business at age 19 in 1992. And ultimately I got in, you know, around March or April of 92. And that following that remaining calendar year, I sold about 18 homes. And I really focused on listings. And that's always been my focus. You know, I really didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a center of influence. I mean, my center of influence ultimately was my high school friends. What I understood was I had to get it out there, let people know I was in the real estate business. So, you know, we talk about center of influence, talk about database. My database ultimately became my high school yearbook, and it was for prospecting my friends' parents, right? So if anybody ever says, hey, I don't have a database, well, just go back to their damn high school yearbook. These are people you remember back then, and just go call their parents or call them today, right? That was my Facebook, I guess, you know? So anyway, basically became a listing agent, and I really went out and started calling expired listings. My manager in the office basically said, hey, here's a script. And if you remember the old Sweat Hog group, you know, Sweat Hog crew, Floyd Wickman's, that was part of the script. And so I went and just studied the script and went out and read it and then jumped right in. So, you know, that's fast forward from about 92 to about 2000. You know, I got up to, as a solo agent, around probably the most as a solo agent, about 83 transactions. Hired my first assistant, maybe I think 2000 range, went to about 123, and then start slowly from there building a team. Ran for a long time in a small team, just myself and 2 other buyers agents and 3 admin. And then, you know, advance forward all today. Now it's about a 14, 15 person organization total right now.
Wow, congratulations on the success, Jeff. Yet there's a lot of agents out there that say, yes, I want to build a team. And you and I both know that over 90% of teams fail.
Right.
What do you think agents are not doing correctly as it relates to team building? Talk to me.
Well, the rainmaker of the team, everybody wants to build a team. They come out of the gate, they start hiring agents, right? The challenge of all that is the agent himself hasn't gone through the process and learned and really got the skills down and gone through the basics of what it takes. I mean, you know, it's like anything. I mean, in my opinion, you know, again, been doing this a long time. You know, if an agent's trying to go out of the gate in the first 1, 2, 3, 5 years and start trying to build a team, and that agent himself hasn't sold 50, 60, 75 homes, even 100 homes on their own, there's no, in my opinion, you got no business going out and building a team, because how can you lead, how can you keep someone else accountable, lead someone else, and you haven't been able to really do it at a high level yourself? So number one is that individual agent needs to actually get it right themselves, nail that position first, right? And then start going out and looking at the leverage piece. Some of them start building teams. They have sold 10 homes. Like, I sold 10 homes my first year. Great. Let's go hire 4 buyer's agents. Then you look up 3-4 years from now, that's just a complete mess, right? They go through admin, they don't know how to hire. And it just, you look at that and you're like, Jesus, what are you doing, right? And we see that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that it's an agent, like, you have to have a certain minimum amount of transactions and experience and time before you have to go out, and then leverage yourself, follow, like the MRE model, let it be the solo agent hitting it, 35, 40 transactions, hire your first assistant, make it an executive assistant, get that rocking and rolling to take everything off of your plate, all the admin stuff that you shouldn't be doing or don't want to do. Focus on the income generating activity. Then become a listing agent, nail that down, create listings that create buyer opportunities, hire a buyer's agent, like follow that model all the way down. That takes time. That doesn't take 1 year, 2 years. It might take 3 to 5 years to start building that up properly. Yes, it's going to be a grind, but 5th year to 10th year, boom, you're going to see a lot of growth. So I think that answer your question is they got to nail it first.
They've got to nail it first. So good news, bad news, right? Good news is, yes, you can build a team. Yes, you can leverage through models, systems, technology, and people, and truly own a business in this industry rather than focusing solely on personal production. Now, focusing on personal production, it's noble and you'll make a great living. Yet if you truly want to create massive financial wealth, like generational wealth, the only way to really do that is through leverage. Would you agree with that, Jeff?
Yeah, 100% for sure.
And let's face it, guys, we already live a highly leveraged life in the United States today. For example, many of you right now, you're wearing shoes, right? Yet did you make those shoes? Oh, you leveraged that out to somebody else, of course. Well, it's about applying that type of thinking to your current business model. So bad news, you get to go out and master it first. And Jeff, that is a nugget there, buddy. So I think one of the biggest frustrations as it relates to team building is that you hire on a buyer's agent, you train them up, you invest your time, your energy, your blood, sweat, and tears into this person. They finally find that traction. They start getting success. And then what do? They get drunk on the wine of that success, right?
Sure.
And what do they want to do, Jeff?
They want to go out on their own. Oh, I can do this on my own. I don't need you. I don't need you anymore.
And you just trained your competition. Jeff, what are some of the strategies and tactics that you've engaged with, that you've implemented and deployed to keep people and retain people? Talk to me.
I think it's always a challenge, for sure. One of the things that we say, and you probably heard a million times, is I want to train someone on my team to be good enough that they can leave, right? I want to have them be so good that they're able to leave. However, I'm going to treat them well enough that they never will, and give them opportunities they want. So I think that, there's a couple things. One is someone will leave you if you don't create additional opportunities for them, different revenue streams, different partnerships, different ways to put them in an opportunity of a career path to go other direction to grow. I think that, one of the human needs out there we have is growth, and that's what somebody needs. If we can show someone how they can live a better life, work less, earn more in your world, and we can actually ultimately create a big world enough to have theirs fit inside, and they can see that, then ultimately they won't leave. So creating that, and that's what keeps me up at night. Late night is I've got unbelievable people, unbelievable staff, and ultimately I want to continue to pour into them, lead them, coach them, mentor them, in all aspects, right? Like, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and in business, and ultimately get them to hit their goals, therefore will leave mine. So, it's just more than, okay, I can go out on my own and get a higher commission split, or make, quote unquote, think they make more money. Ultimately they'll end up making less, but it's creating the opportunities, I believe, that's available. And then ultimately that's the retention to keep them into your life around you.
All right. So share with me some specific examples of that growth that you're talking about and other opportunities that you're talking about.
Sure. I'll give you an example. So I have a gal on my team that's been in the business now. She's going about her 4th year. Her first year and 2 years in the business, she was with a different company that I had worked at previously. And she'd done about 8 transactions. And I know this gal. She's a local gal, and she has a really good work ethic. Recruited her to the team. Ultimately, I said, look, you've got a lot of leadership inside of you. You're an entrepreneur, spirited. You've had other businesses before. Your family comes from business. They have restaurants and things like that. Long story short, came on our team. I said, you just need some guidance. You need to be plugged into our system, accountability, the coaching, and I think you're really going to thrive. And so we plugged in our team. So came over about 2.5 years ago. It was 2 years in March. And her first year, I think she did about like 20 units with us, like between March and the end of the year. Last year, she did about 34. This year, she's tracking about 50, 55. So going from 2 years in the business doing 8 deals in 1 year, now she'll be 50 to 60 deals this year. And ultimately I said, look, you're on the right trajectory, the right path, you're learning, you're a leader, and now it's time for you to still take all this stuff that we're teaching you. Let's expand with you in a different location. Are you up for that? Now she moved actually 40 miles away where we have like another separate market center, business center that's now opening. So her goal is now to duplicate what we've taught her at the hub and go duplicate that and lead another team in that location. So we met about that last week. We're looking at this location, getting it set up. So it's the opportunity for her to be able to go from basically, from a typical agent to leadership, or say agent into entrepreneurship, where she can start building this out and have additional revenue streams, additional ownership in this, and building that. So, taking someone like that has that desire, and then be able to show them a path. That's an example of what we're going to do with her. Now, that's one stream. Another stream is other thought, and we're having conversations with our team, including her, is, hey, I'm making good money now. What do I do with it? There's other opportunities out there. How do we become our own best client, right? So opportunities about how do we invest together in certain things, even other products and things like technology and different things that we're developing that I've recently just built, and things that I want them all to be part of. So these are just some of the things that I'm working on, and I like to bring them up into this and show them the opportunity. So that's just one example how I can lead with another agent and have them become a leader in other areas.
Fantastic. Now, Jeff, you said something, and I don't want it to slip by, is that you as the leader, you've got to create a vision that is so big that their vision will actually fit inside that vision. And I think where that disenchantment comes from is when somebody's personal vision of their life exceeds the size of their leaders. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
And yes. when they're thinking bigger than you're thinking, well, then you're in big trouble, right? That's when they're going to want to go out on their own and lead. So constantly putting additional opportunities in front of them, I think that's a big deal. To also be able to pool the resources of the team to make certain investments, whether it's investments in a business, or I could just imagine a longer tail approach where you're investing in real estate with them and creating this portfolio of investment properties. I think that definitely helps with the retention model. Now, you've mentioned it a couple of times, and I just want for our listeners, for them to gain clarity, what is the hub, as you put it?
Sure. So what we refer to as the hub is, if you picture just a bicycle wheel, right? So inside of the bicycle wheel is a hub. That's where our home base market is. This is where my local agents are, where I live, where I work, where our staff is, our administrative staff, the leadership is all in this hub. And then outside of the hub is we have the spokes that go out to the rim. Well, the spokes that go out are our expansion partners and other locations that we're expanding with. So ultimately we have the hub, and then spokes go out. So we're in about 5 different markets right now, from Pittsburgh down to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, mostly East Coast. We're about ready to go into the Carolinas as of September 1st with that one big deal I mentioned to you earlier, and so forth. So that's kind of what I always refer to as the hub. Just this is kind of my home base market, more or less.
Gotcha. And obviously same branding. So it's more like single agent franchising, correct?
Right. Yes.
You're just identifying the who, and then you expand with your models, systems, technology, and of course the administrative support at the hub. Let me ask, is all transaction coordination, transaction management done at the hub?
Everything's done at the hub, yeah, for more or less. Yeah, everything's there, and virtually. So, but everything runs out of the hub, managed from the hub, leads from the hub.
Very good, very good. Now, if I'm a candidate, let's just say that I'm in the Carolinas, for example, and I like what I'm hearing from Jeff. I've heard his name. I mean, $100 million in sales volume. I want to be part of something bigger than I can do all on my own. How would they get in touch with you to have a conversation about becoming an expansion partner of yours?
They would just simply email me, or they can find me on Facebook Messenger as well, Jeff Quintin, or Jeff@thequintingroup.com. And that's simple. And then we would just get in dialogue. We'd set up a time, and And typically in that process, we have an over the phone conversation, and the next just to feel each other out and see what's going on, their goals and so forth. And then next we then go like this in a Zoom meeting, then we share screens and show what our value proposition is. We look and go through that whole entire process as far as what we do and how we help agents grow, and removing everything off of their plate and basically showing them what they need to do, where they need to concentrate just on their 20%. So that's kind of the process, how it works.
Okay, good. Let's kind of keep diving into this. What are some other reasons that agents fail at building a team?
Gosh, there's so many reasons. In fact, it's funny just in why agents fail completely. I actually have the Quintin Group failure system. I wrote out an actual failure system. In other words, someone's always said, why do agents fail? I said, well, you know what? I wrote this down. So I wrote out 20 things, whatever it may be. It's like, here's the Quintin Group failure system. Here are all the things, if you do this, you're going to fail. For example, I don't follow a schedule. I don't prospect each day. I don't practice my scripts. I don't treat this as a business. I don't set goals. Like all these certain things, I wrote them all out. I said, you want to know what to do? Or why agents fail? Here's the list, right? Let me show you, right, on all this. So it's just funny you brought that up, but we call it the failure plan. So when we interview somebody, say, here's all the things you want to fail in this business. This is what you do. This is the 90%. Go look at them. Tell me which one that you don't want to do, right? And they better say all of them. So, why do teams fail? I mean, look, I didn't have it perfect in the beginning, and I still don't, right? So that sometimes people looking outside into these teams are like, man, you guys got it going on, and that's not the case whatsoever. It's behind the scene, or behind the curtain, under the hood. It's still very messy many times. But I think that, you got to start with a foundation. And I think that the value proposition for a team, you got to make sure you have that administrative side of the business really nailed down. That's the value proposition, where you can go to an agent that just wants to go sell and remove things off of their plate and say, well, let me take off that transaction management from you, the listing management side, the closing management side. Let me bring all that in, because right now, if you're working 60, 70 hours a week, and I can give you back 3 to 4 hours of your day because you're doing the things that are slowing you down from what you don't want to do, well, all of a sudden I can give you 20 hours back in your schedule. Well, either you take the 20 hours and go do what you want to do, go surf, go have fun, or we cut that back and then we coach you and train you on your scripting and your presentations and give you the tools and resources. And then all of a sudden you go start doing what you do better, get more efficient at it, and your production doubles, right? So I think it's nailing down the value proposition side and the admin side. The admin side is our core base of our team. Are agents going to come and go as salespeople? They're going to happen. Is my salespeople going to come and go if I treat them right? They're going to stay with me for a long time. That's the culture of the team is based upon the administrative staff, in my opinion. It's building the culture behind the scenes that is the strength in the team building part of it, in my opinion. So, that's one thing that I think I've got right now is an amazing staff and admin and leadership team behind us.
Fantastic. Okay, so why are some agents that choose to expand their leverage through other people, meaning, okay, I've identified a buyer's agent, they're making the wrong key hire? Maybe that person doesn't have the work ethic. Perhaps they're not a good cultural fit for what they choose to create. Maybe they've got call reluctance. They won't comply to the standards that the team has.
Sure.
First off, how do you avoid making the wrong hire yourself?
So sometimes you just don't know, right? I mean, sometimes that person may show up and can be just look the part, smell the part, act the part, like man, this guy's a rock star. This gal's just amazing and has a history, right? Like this person, based upon who they were, what they've done, like they're kind of proven in other area. And sometimes they bring them in and then you say, okay, well, get on the phone, and they just won't do it, right? So sometimes you just don't know. But I think that, a couple things that we're doing to make sure we don't waste some time with a candidate or make the wrong hire, is we're putting through the process, like we're sitting down with them, we're getting deeper and deeper about what their motivation is and making sure that their core values are matching our mission and their mission together. They can see being part of this and their values and all that, kind of who they are, right? The basic bottom line, another thing is right now, it's like, do I see myself going out and having a beer with this person? Like, do I want to hang out with them? Right? Hey, let's go to the bar. Let's go to the beer. Let's go to have a barbecue, whatever. Like, come on over and just chill. Like, if I can see myself connecting with that person, part of our team, that's number one, a good fit, right? there's been times we made hires and I look up and I'm like, I'd never hang out with that person, right? Like, I mean, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't, like, and you know what? They don't want to be around me either. Let's be face it, right? But we think that, okay, they're going to be a rock star. So maybe we hired for some wrong reason. But so number one is making sure there's a good fit personality wise, I think is always cool. And then second, I think that, the getting them into your environment and before they start seeing who we are, the way we operate, where we act, what we do on a daily basis. So before we bring someone on our team, we're going to have them come in and shadow us for a day or two. And that's kind of like second in, like first time is a call or a meeting, like, okay, you like what you see, we go to value proposition. The next part is, hey, step two is, listen, why don't you come in on Tuesday, come show up here at 9 o'clock in the morning, come watch what we do from 9 to noon, join us in our team meeting at noon. You'll see what we go over, see and meet everybody, our culture, how we do, what we do, the accountability we have. And ultimately they can actually see what we do. And at the end of that, we sit down with them and say, all right, well, what did you like? What didn't you like? And they say, wow, this is amazing. The energy's good, blah, blah, blah. Well, do you see yourself standing up for 3 hours with no chairs, with a double dual headset on, with a script, with leads, an auto dialer? Like, do you see yourself being able to do this every single day for the rest of your career? And some might say, no, I can't do that. That's way, you guys are crazy. Others will be like, yes, I want to be part of that. So we bring them into the environment to just test them a little bit and make sure they see what they're getting into. And we want to validate that they're okay with that, so before we bring them in. And that's worked a lot. That's how it's helped in the process.
Gotcha. Okay, we got some comments coming in on Facebook. Junkie Patel says, how do you know who's the right agent for your team? Junkie's current coaching client of ours here at Icon. She's crushing it. As you guys know, she was last month's Icon of the Month. She's expanding her business through people right now. And finding that right key hire, as we all know, is critical to your success. In fact, if your business isn't where it could be or should be, frankly, you're probably just missing one key hire. Now,
yes.
She asks, how did you identify the right buyer's agent when you first started expanding through a team?
Well, I mean, it's always still a struggle making sure they're the right people. There's 4 things that we look for in an agent. And I get real deep on these 4 things. Number one is, I'm looking for an agent right now that has a high economic drive, like somebody that really, truly wants to make money and has a purpose behind it, why they're going to do it. Because sometimes people want to make money, but there's no purpose. They're la la land. They're not so much, they're just interested in money. They're just not committed in it. Right? There's a difference between being interested and committed, like really committed to going somewhere, really committed in a goal. And I help them through that. So someone who has a high economic drive, because we're going to press and push on, goals, making money, what you're going to do with the money, how you're going to spend it, all of that. So someone has to have that drive. Secondly, someone who's coachable, like, obviously accepting blind faith, willing to listen, willing to be guided through other success things, success ideas and thoughts that are happening, and willing to take direction. So many agents out there I see that just have such a huge ego, they're not willing to be coachable. And an organization, like they just, I don't want to do that. That's not my style, whatever. We need to work around that. So how coachable are they? So you got someone who's high economic drive, coachability. Third is someone that we're looking for that is seeking structure. Like they want structure. They want to they want a high level of accountability. Now, a lot of them say they want that until we start pressuring it, and then they get squirrely, right? But ultimately, really, they want structure. They want to be able to report their numbers, and they want to be able to show up at a certain time and do certain activities. We want to coach them around that structure. If they have high economic drive, if they're coachable, they seek structure. Fourthly, if they're a team player, making sure that ultimately everything is being done for the greater good of the team. They understand that together we all do more, and we work together. That formula, those 4 things in someone, and we can identify that. Typically, we plug them into our environment. Boom, they succeed very, very well.
Very good. Well, let's start with the first one. Sincere desire and need to make a lot of money. And guys, I know it sounds cold. I know it sounds callous. Yet if you truly want to achieve extraordinary success, and I mean build an empire in the real estate game, you've got to hire people who love money. Okay. And it sounds cold, right? Yet, Jeff, how do you get to the bottom line with that? Because a lot of people say, oh yeah, I want to make a lot of money. How do you get to the bottom line though?
Yeah, I mean, so we find out, okay, so what is a lot of money to them? And number one is, well, is ask an agent, so how much income would you like to earn? In almost every case, it seems like today is, I want to make 100,000. That's always the number, right?
Yeah.
But if an agent shows up and goes, well, for our first year, it'd be great to make 30,000. And I'm going to look at them like that person already in their world isn't thinking big enough. It's like, now we got to really teach their mind a little bit. Like, they can only see themselves making 30. Now, if I say to them, okay, well, in 5 years from now, how much do you want to earn? They say, well, I only want to make 100, right? Like 5 years, I only make 100. Then we have to start thinking about, where's this person's environment? Where did they come from? Like, where do they grow up in? Like, they've never seen no one in their life's ever made that. You know what I mean? So it starts from that part, figuring out what driving them, where they come from. So that's part of some of the questions. And then also getting the bottom line as far as, all right, so how much do you want to earn? And we figure that out, and we just reverse it back in. Okay, so after that, what would the net number be, and how much would you like to save? And then if you were to save, what would you do with it? Where would the money go? What's the good of the money? What's it going to do, right? And then really get deep about their purpose behind why they want to do it. So we try to figure that why behind them and get deep on it. So then I know, when they come into us, I can write down motivation is X, like college tuition for kids, right? Or whatever it is. And I can start pressing on them like, hey, listen, this week you said you were going to get a listing and you didn't, or sell a buyer, or what happened with that buyer? Is it that you don't want your kids to go to college because you said you did, and that's what you got to do? Like, what happened, right? So I think just digging a little bit deeper on what the purpose is.
Absolutely. And how many times do you find somebody who says they want to make 100,000 and yet you begin ratcheting it down? For example, okay, well, let's just say at the end of the year, rather than making 100,000 in gross commission income for yourself personally, let's say it's not 100, it's 75. How would you feel? And so many times they're like, well, geez, that's twice what I made last year, so I'd feel like a rock star, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, how about 60? How would you feel? How about 50? And you just keep going down to the point they say, I would be dissatisfied with myself if I made that much money. You've got to recognize their financial thermostat. Guys, it's not set at 100 grand, right?
Correct. Yes.
The thermostat right there on the wall. If it's set at 72, if it gets too hot in the room, it's going to kick the AC on, bring it down to 72. Or conversely, if it gets too cold, it's going to turn on the heater, right? Yet each one of us and each one of these potential candidates, well, they've got a financial thermostat. And I think to raise that financial thermostat, it's what Jeff's saying. It's bringing conscious awareness to what would they do if they had the extra money. What's the why behind earning it? Because the bottom line is, if they don't know what they would do with the extra money, guys, they're not going to work hard to make it. So, Jeff, I love the questions that you asked.
Yeah. Let me share with you what we did yesterday in my team meeting. We had an agent in shadowing us too. It was kind of cool. It was good, really good meeting. And so we played this game, and I'm sure you played it before. But ultimately, I really got to get our team to start thinking at a higher level, right? Like really thinking big. Like that's the key. Like, I told him, I said, write down right now. I'm going to write down the number of income they want to earn this year. Then I want you to take it times 3. Okay, so that's now a new number, right? Take it times 10, right? So I got them to start focusing on what that number looks like, whatever that number be, 300,000, 500,000, whatever they all wrote down. Then I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Every one of you today has won $100 million tax-free in the lottery. You need to come back to me and give me a report on how it's being spent. So, and this is their assignment. But I went around the room. I started calling up people. I said, just tell me real quick, what would you do the first thing? One guy says, well, I pay off my debt. I said, good. How much debt do you have? 30,000. I said, okay, so you have 999 million, right? $70,000 left. All right, now what? What are you going to do? Well, I'd buy a new house. Okay, good. How much would it be? I don't know. It'd probably be $2 million. Okay, good. Now you have 997 million left, or 97 million left, right? Like, I just went through all the whole thing, and it's an exercise for them. I'm like, go spend $100 million right now in your mind and write down what it is and how you're going to do it. Because they're having their taxes, it's all spendable money. Here you go. And people just can't, they just in their mind, they cannot do it, right? Like they're going, I'd buy a jet. Okay, good. Which one? Well, that's 25 million. Okay, well, you have 75 left. I'd buy a helicopter. Okay, that's 10 million. All right, you have this much left. Right? Like I just kept going down the line. Well, I'd invested. All right, in what? Well, I'd invested in real estate, a 250 apartment building. Okay, good. Well, how much is that going to spend? All right, good. How much income is it going to give you? All right, well, that was 5 million or 10 million. Okay. All right, you follow me? Like stretching their mind to get them in a place where they've never thought this big before.
Well, and once the mind is stretched, it never goes back to its original form, no doubt about it. So great job at getting them to think bigger as it relates to money. In fact, with my coaching clients, I put them into an exercise. Many of you watching this right now, I put you into this exercise in the last week, and that is to identify a list of a minimum 100 things that you want. These could be, personal accomplishments. They could be materialistic type possessions or financial achievements. Like, for example, I want to net $5 million in a single year, yet to identify a list of 100 things you want. Now, here's the point. The definition of success, according to Webster's dictionary, is really simple. It's getting what you want, not what somebody else wants or thinks maybe you should want. Yet many people, they take an average approach to identifying what they want. And even worse, an average approach on how to get it, right? So rather, let's bring conscious awareness to what you want so that when you achieve it, you can feel that feeling of success. So great exercise. I'd recommend you all do that. Next, you said, are they coachable? How do you find out if they're coachable? Because when you ask people, are they coachable? Every single one of them says, yes, I'm coachable. How do you find out if they're coachable?
Coachability is a big thing, right? So, I mean, we find out by giving them little tasks and say, well, first of all, when we onboard an agent, that's going to show us on how well they follow direction. And are they going to, our onboarding system basically is a learning management system through Learning Zen, and there's courses, and it's like units, like modules. You have to take a module, you have to pass it with a quiz, and then the next one unlocks when the first one is completed, and they go through that. And so part of that, we're going to see, okay, well, how coachable are you through going through this process? We can see right away from somebody that says, they're supposed to have things completed within a certain time frame. We get notified in the email, says, okay, such and such just did this course and completed it on time and did this. Like, we're watching them go through this, and all of a sudden, if they're slacking on certain things and not achieving it in time, that's showing us right now they're not focused on something. They're not being coached. They're not coachable in just the training part, right? So right in the beginning, we can start seeing that just from that part.
I love it. Love it. Okay. So as I see it, your job as a leader is really to help individuals improve their foundation. And 4 categories to foundation, gang, just real quick: knowledge, skills, mindset, and habits. Okay. The foundation is at the core of our state of being. It's how we show up to the world and our clients, right? And Jeff, it sounds like you've got the models, systems, technology, and people in place to make certain that you're improving that foundation daily. Yes?
Yes, sir.
Additionally, we've got to get them into the pipeline phase of their business. This is their proactive lead generation, the open houses, the networking events, the lunches they're attending with the sphere of influence. It's the phone calls, right? The lead follow-up, the nurturing of prospects. And those with tenacity are going to break through to that next level called momentum. Now, momentum is a fun place to be, no doubt about it. Yet the only thing that's going to get you to momentum and keep you there is leverage, right? Yeah, because a lot of people, they say, oh, I've made it to momentum, I've arrived, and they stop the pipeline phase of their business because they get sucked down in the weeds, right? And so they kind of go from that pipeline breakthrough to momentum, and yet once they get to momentum, they stop the pipeline phase, right? It's an or instead of an and in fact, it is an and, meaning I'm in foundation and I'm in pipeline and I've reached momentum. Pipeline is a phase you're constantly in. Now, Jeff, your job as the leader, though, is to apply the leverage, which is the next phase in that model. So the leverage piece, 4 categories: models, systems. Now, system is a standardized process, produces a consistent and predictable result. Yes?
Yes.
And then finally, technology and people, so that you can get them to momentum, keep them in momentum. So it's kind of a top down from a leverage perspective, and a bottom up, creating the sandwich, right? Where it's foundation, knowledge, skills, mindset, and habits, and then leverage up top, which is model, systems, technology, and people, to keep them in that pipeline and momentum phase so that they're constantly having an uptick in production and net profit year after year after year. So great job. You're modeling that, buddy. It's fantastic to watch.
It's good. It's what we know, right? And it works as long as we follow it.
As long as we follow it. That's the key, no doubt. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about accountability structure.
Sure.
How do you help the teammates with accountability?
So a couple things that we do on a daily basis, let's say, is, in the morning we have a huddle call. So it's 8:15 that our entire team calls in on, wherever they may be. 3 things we talk about in the huddle call. It's 15 minutes. Each agent leads the huddle call, so they're on a rotation. And ultimately, 3 things to talk about. Number 1 is where are you? What is your monthly goal, right? So what is your goal in production? 2 is where are you in relationship to that goal? And then 3 is what is your commitment to yourself and what are you going to do that day? So they just go right through. So ultimately, their accountability is being announced publicly to our team, and then to themselves to keep themselves accountable. And then obviously leadership's on there, so we can remind and see what they're doing, and we know right in the beginning, what they're up to. And then we also remind them that, hey, look, it's the 21st of the month and you're behind goal. What your commitment today was and what you said, you got to step it up. Like, that's not enough, right? So we do that. So 8:15 huddle call. Each day, other than, there's other time frames. We have different meetings that we have a pipeline meeting as far as on Mondays at 12 noon to find out which agents pipeline, what listings they're going to get this week, what listings are going to go under contract, what buyers they have they're going to under contract, what reductions they're going to get, right? Kind of that four kind of conversation more or less on those. And then the end of the day, all of our agents are reporting their numbers. So we have a link, we use Sisu, and Sisu link report all the numbers, contacts made, appointments set, appointments going on, listings taken, buyer sales, like all that's all linked in. And then those numbers are back published to the team each day. So everybody can see where they are. Plus we have dashboards to see which agent, how, like a leaderboard on where everybody is, how many contacts, who's doing what. So there's some built-in, there's a lot of visual accountability in all of that, plus what they're doing each day. And there's a lot of accountability around that. For example, rewind, like if you show up late to the huddle call, there's a consequence in the morning. If you don't report your numbers, then the following day you're turned off of all admin. Like you get, if you want a contract done, you do it yourself, right? Because you didn't report your numbers, right? So there's accountability around that, right? Because we know that when the numbers are reported, we study them. It's important. We have to learn them and move them forward. And then each week, we're doing our 411s with the agents, 30 minutes going over business and personal goals and their world and their life to push them forward. And ultimately, so that's, we're inserting accountability at a daily level and then a weekly level at a high level. And we know the pulse of the team. We know the pulse of every agent. We know also what their vision and their goal is and where they see they want to go. Like we've asked, like what's going on, so we can always keep them accountable in all of that. So
real quick, Jeff, Junkie Patel asked, is there a particular system you use for that transparency around accountability and reporting of their numbers?
It's all through Sisu. Is the name of the what we use. We were using CTE and all this other stuff like that, and Clipfolio before, but the company we use is called Sisu now.
Can you spell that for us?
Sure, it's SISU, Sisu.
Sisu.
Yeah, it's bad. It's pretty cool, man. It's really cool.
And it's an online platform.
Mm-hmm.
Do they do it from their phone through an app, or do they have to log in? Okay.
They do it right from their phones. Obviously, go online and their computer as well if they want. But yeah, from their phone, and it's really easy. It's a plus. It's a minus and plus sign, up and down.
Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously, when you make the decision and you want to expand your influence through people, you've got to make the mental connection that you're no longer a realtor necessarily focused on personal production. In fact, you've now just become a recruiter. So tell me a little bit about your recruiting model, Jeff. How do you find these people? How do you get them to align with the team and all of that? Go for it.
Several different ways. We're not doing this at the level we need to. Scott and I in our office are taking more of the charge on this. One thing we're doing in our expansion model is each Wednesday at 4:00 East Coast time, we invite all the team leaders and the OPs of KW, even regional leadership inside KW, the owners, invite them to a call. And basically, we'll have anywhere between 2 and maybe 10 at any time, possibly on the call about. And what we go over is really our expansion value proposition about how we working with other market centers, how we help recruit to the market center, how the relationship looks, what our value proposition is, so that those team leaders that are recruiting there can go out and have a different a different model or different value to present, and all of that. So each week we're actually hosting. It's a proactive approach. We're getting them to a Zoom meeting like this for a half hour and then just running through and saying, welcome to the Zoom meeting. Here's what we do. Here's who we are. This is how we're helping other market centers grow. And then ultimately we're asking them to send us their broker metrics. And then we have campaigns that we're sending out through text, emails, voice broadcasts, getting agents and other brokerages to raise their hand and say, sure, I'd love to know more about the Quintin Group expanding in our area, or love to know more about joining a team. And then we get the TLs to be able to call them and kind of preliminary pre-qualify to see if they're better for us or better for the market center, and vice versa. So that's probably our number one thing we're doing.
Okay, well, fantastic. And again, it's applying leverage through the model. Who else benefits? You're asking the question, who else benefits when I expand into a market area? Then based on what they're going to gain from that, you're enlisting their support and their help.
And, we're teaching as well, so in other market centers and being proactive out there. We're also the new agents. We get all the new agent, lists that come in, from the real estate schools. We're not so much we're hiring a brand new agent, but we get that. We put them in a campaign. We send them back to the market center, let them go get them and train them up. And if they're good after 6 months, we'll start talking to them.
Right on, right on. Richard Reyes, how you doing, buddy? He asks, would you mind sharing your onboarding process? So once you've attracted this person, what are the steps associated with onboarding the agent and getting them culturalized?
So we have an onboarding system. It's called Learning Zen, and Learning Zen is just more or less it's an online platform. You want me to share my screen to it? Want to see it?
Absolutely.
Just to give you a little example. Is that cool? All right, let me just load this up for a second.
Yeah, in fact, you're going to share your screen on a couple of other things today as well,
yeah.
like your organizational chart, some compensation models potentially. So guys, stick around. This is going to be really, really good.
Yeah, so can you guys see this okay? Come through?
Perfect.
Okay, so basically this is called Learning Zen, and let's move this over. Basically there's courses, and when an agent comes on, there's the admin side, there's courses, there's the sales skill side. So if an agent, for example, and it's set up like, first day they got to do four courses, second day 4 courses, whatever it may be, and they go through. So this is the first thing we do is, let's say they want to, and by the way, this also acts like a repository, like a library. So anytime they want to learn about, goal setting, motivation, they just come in here and take that course all over again, right? So these are all just set up personality styles, working with buyers, building a strong foundation. These are all different setup. Now you're not seeing the actual course right now. You're just seeing you're actually seeing the course. You're not seeing it currently right now in the flow of them, right? So here's just all of the courses set up. So this is some of the sales skill side. The admin side is going to take them through like the our websites and all the systems that we have. So this is how we do it. We just build it out, and then they can always come back at any point to go pull in. Like the admin side will be building a Zillow profile, developing a center of influence, goal tasks, goal calendars, Google Voice getting set up, how to do market analysis, how to export your contacts. This is all onboarding stuff. Learning about Infusionsoft, that's one of ours. The listing process. Mike Ferry teaches us about learning numbers, our MLS training, how to go through our Google Drive, creating a 1-week business plan. Like you can just see it just goes on and on and on. Welcome to the Quintin group. This is like day number 1, because this gives inside this onboarding process. It tells all the things they need to do. Like they fill out, all the emergency contact information and all that kind of stuff. So this is kind of where we start from at the onboarding. They go through this and it's all set up. So it's scalable, right? It's not where I have to go hold every single agent's hand, whether in expansion or coming on board. It's like, here you go do the courses. This takes you if you follow the course structure in the days you're supposed to do it, about 14 days later, you'll be 100% complete. Now you could rush through it and knock it out in 2 days, but we want them to still work and then still do the training at the same time.
Makes total sense. Okay. So you, again, have applied leverage to the model to make your life easier. And you're focused on scaling what it is you built out. Fantastic. All right. So the onboarding process, check. That's good. Learning Zen. I love that. By the way, when you click on one of those modules, what do they see? Is it like a video? Is it a worksheet? Talk to me, or a combination?
Yeah, sure. Let me see. So let's say 10 commitments, right? I actually have to log in probably as a user. I'm just showing you. This course provides access to 10 commitments document for you to learn and utilize every day. Review this document many times as necessary. Let me see if that document comes up. So basically, we want them, understanding I'm committed to, and this is kind of what they have them go through and read about. So reading my business plan, here's the equities. This is what this one looks like.
Excellent.
That's just one simple, like, okay, here's my 10 commitments. And then, basically when they get off track on certain things, you go back, remember the 10 commitments you're supposed to make to yourself, right? You remind them. So it's kind of how that.
Jeff, thanks for sharing that. By the way, can you pull up like organizational structure? I'd like to see what the team looks like.
Yeah, sure. Give me a second here.
By the way, any questions you guys might have for Jeff, you can either type it in if you're on the Zoom webinar, go ahead and type it in under the chat section or the questions section. Or if you're on Facebook Live with us right now, just go ahead and type it in the comments section. And I'll be sure to get your questions asked.
Let me pull that up for a second. So what I want to walk you guys through is
By the way, Junki Patel asked another question. When did you know you are now ready to build your team in regards to your sales volume and number of transactions?
I think that, when you start building it out, for every 35 to 40 transactions, you need to add a person ultimately. So like 35 to 40 transactions, you're going to add an assistant, right? So an executive assistant. Then hopefully you get yourself doing 75 transactions, let's say yourself. And then from there, you're going to add a buyer's agent. And then ultimately you get over 100, probably going to add another buyer's agent. So I think that every 35 to 40 transactions in that range, you almost add a person, whatever that leverage piece may be. It's kind of what we've always kind of more or less followed.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Bert Jones asks, how many agents on your team currently?
So there's about, agent-wise, there's about, including expansion, I think we're at 10 or 11 right now. We've got about 8 at the hub and 4 expansion partners currently. We've gotten rid of about six in the last 60 or 90 days or so in expansion. We shut down a bunch of different locations. So we're a little bit larger. Now we're ramping back up.
Okay. Now, one of the ways that you're ramping back up is through acquisitions. I'd like to hear more about that model, and who are you looking for there?
So it's, we're still looking for obviously good qualified individual agents as well. I mean, part of our standards currently right now, as far as who we look for is, we don't hire any real brand new agents, but we'll hire agents that are, say, 1 or 2 years in the business, or let's say an agent minimum standard 1 year in the business and it's sold 10 homes. That agent's good because that agent, hasn't really built a lot of bad habits, but ultimately they see the value maybe because they've done 10 deals on their own and they're probably working 70, 80 hours a week. And ultimately we bring them in our system. We get them working 40 to 50 hours a week and we double the production, right? In the next 2 to 3 years, get them doing 2 deals a month and then 3 deals a month. So that model there. Second model is, we're working with a couple things. We're working with 2 teams right now that are teams that are well established. Small teams where the rainmaker more or less has been in the business, or even individual agent, 40, 50 years, right? They started in the 70s or whatever, and they, built a business. They don't ultimately have a great database they've kept together. We work with them on that, and ultimately we come in and give them an exit strategy, like say, okay, well, if you shut your business down, today, what are you planning to do with your business you built for 40 years or 50 years? What happens to the database? So we're working with them to create them an exit strategy to receive an income over a period of time. So we're working with that as an acquisition of an existing team or business. Secondly, we're going into teams or actual independents working on now where we're going in and adopting their business, taking them over, typically very similar to an exit strategy for an owner, and going in and just absorbing their salespeople, bringing them into us, plugging into our systems, and really taking over an entire team. So we're doing that. We're launching one. It's about 22 agents, down to about 125 units, about 55 million or so. That's going to launch September 1st. So yeah, it's pretty big. There's like 30 agents, 30 licenses, 22 to actually sell.
Nice, so cash up front, is it earned equity? Talk to me about it.
Yeah, this one itself is not cash up front, which is cool. And so we're getting it ultimately, absorbing it, acquiring it ultimately for free. We take over in the first 90 days. Is a lot of expenses are off of us, which gets us going because it allows us to build a little war chest. The deal that we got basically in this one is we worked the deal out where it's 12% of company dollar after agent splits back to the owner of the existing business. So it's 12% perpetuity. So it's forever, right? 12% is going to be there, but ultimately we're not paying anything for it, so that's kind of the deal structure that we have going on.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I see that you're sharing your screen.
Yeah. So this is just to give you an example, one of our value proposition for our expansion business, and this is what we kind of run through, and I won't spend a lot of time through it, but basically as you go through, it's going to give everyone our mission, our vision, our values, kind of what our goals are, what it looks like, all the way through, where we want to be, by selling 1,000 homes by 2022, and then ultimately we go through and again, sharing core values, go through business models, where our business ultimately comes from. And this is kind of the nitty gritty. We take an agent through and say, hey, look, this is what we provide to an agent. This is what we provide as far as the value, if you put on it, the frequency, if you put an annual cost. And so we go through all this stuff in here and show an agent, what we provide. There's a lot of added value in here that, just between the coaching and training and all the extra benefits you can see here. And, if an agent comes on our team and if they're just a 50-50 split with a minimum price of $250, they make 90 grand and net to them and all the other stuff, it's the value of about 270,000 bucks, right? So we go through this with them. We go through, who talent looks like, our expectations on our team, what that looks like on a weekly, annual, quarterly basis. We go through, what books to read, what things to listen to. And then this is the career path. So someone comes on and, we talked about earlier, like, how do you retain an agent or your team so they don't leave, showing them the path and showing them the direction that they can be just more than an agent. So, the agent has an opportunity to start out as an ISA. They can become a sales agent then, obviously. Then they can become a location leader, director of sales, regional director, expansion director. They can take over my role, right? They've got the benefits of all of that. So you can have a career path if somebody says, here's the cool thing, Sean, like, the conversation on the team many times with agents is you have the rainmaker, you have a good producing agent that you start them out with, you trained them right from the beginning, they can ramp up. Then they start getting shaky, like I want to go do this on my own, or they start coming at you going, I want to hire split, right? The split conversation is not happening on my team. The split's the split. It's not about that they make more, I make less. It's not about I make more, they make less. It's about how do we earn and make money together. And so this is the path we put them in and say, let's go out and not talk about splits. Let's talk about your next opportunity where we all could grow and make way more money than your split, right? So here's the career path that we can put them on. So that as you go.
In the compensation models where I see profits interest, I see profit share, bonus structure, commissions, obviously. Good stuff. Let's talk a little bit, just real quick, about profits interest.
Sure. So let me share with you, as a question was asked of me not too long ago and said, well, how do you recruit you, right? Like, how could I go recruit someone like myself back to my team? How do you recruit you, number one? Number two is, how can someone inside your organization make $1 million or better or more? I said, well, let me figure that out. So I said, okay, well, an agent or organization can come in and they have the ability to be a sales agent. Let's say they do 100 transactions. We build an agent up, so we help them, support them, that they can make $400,000 to $500,000 doing $400,000 in transactions, just an average, right? Roughly $4,000 to $5,000 commission. Then they can come and they can become a regional expansion director. If you get up to 40 agents, here's the override amount. So ultimately, an agent could still be a 100 transaction business, right? They still could be a regional director. They can do both of these jobs. This one here is going to be highly leveraged. This one here also leveraged as well, but it's possible. Then that person could then become an expansion partner where they can actually expand another location, build a team out, and they receive profit interest in that location. Then ultimately, like we just talked about, if I have a partner or someone that wants to merge into a team or another office, we'll give them owner share, right? And profit share in that. So the career path, ultimately, we just look at it and say, okay, well, how does that ultimately look? They can be an agent, they can be a regional director by doing both, commission plus override. They can be this. Like, of these 4 roles, pick one, pick all 4, doesn't matter. Let's go nail it and figure out what that may look like, right? So here's kind of the path of what that all breaks down and kind of looks like. Now, if I go and look at, let me see here if I have it. Now I'll pull it up.
Well, one of the things that I don't want to slip by, guys, is that Jeff asked himself a powerful question, right? And the quality of the question determines the quality of the answer. And the question was, how can an individual on your team earn $1 million a year? Powerful question. Yeah, in our mind is like our search engine, right? You ask it a question, it's got to find an answer. And if the answer doesn't exist, well, then Jeff, you go out and you build the model. How does somebody earn $1 million on your team? Powerful.
Exactly.
Love it.
And so there's a flyer in here, and let me see here. Where's that expansion? Well, this is what was designed for the flyer. Let me see if I can have it up. Oh, it doesn't matter. So I'll just show you. So we broke that down. Okay. So we said, okay, well, if that broke down, if that plan was in existence, and this is like the behind the scenes Word document for it, right? So you're not getting the fancy flyer here, but here's the numbers, right? So agent production, if we, you know what, this doesn't add up to where it should. Anyway, you can kind of see how the flow was. They give him a sales director at this kind of at 200 million average sales price. And then you look all the way through what the net profit would be for somebody, and then partnering and golden handoff, all this, you can look all the way through. So actually, this isn't the one I want to show you, but hold on a minute, let's see if I can get it. But basically, I broke it down and said, okay, well, show me those profit interests, show me that plan, show me exactly where, if I became a regional director at 40 plus expansion partners at an average sales price, at an average commission, and then average override. Like I was able to break that all the way down so that we do sit with somebody and they say to me, okay, well, I understand I can have these positions. How do I get there? Right. And then we just break that down from there.
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, profits interest means that they're going to receive a percentage of net profits of that particular expansion unit, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yep.
What that does, guys, is it forces them to act like owners, number one. Number two, it forces them to also keep expenses as low as possible and net profit as high as possible. It's a powerful compensation model. And by the way, I think compensation models is one of the most underutilized weapons at your disposal.
Yeah.
When you go through the compensation, recognizing the only reason we work, guys, is to make money. Right? I mean, sure, there's the sideline benefits of being able to help people and the fulfillment that you get from that. And let's face it, the joy that you receive from helping people. Bottom line is, though, I don't know about you, I probably wouldn't do what I do if I didn't make any money doing it because I'd be forced to do something else, right?
Correct. Yep.
No doubt.
So I just want to share with you, because you mentioned about compensation models, right? We'll just jump to this. So, someone says to me, well, okay, I want to come on your team and I want to expand with you in California or Florida or wherever it may be. I said, okay, fine. So, we've gone through our value proposition. We've showed you all the things we're going to provide you. We're going to give you all the support. We're going to move everything off your plate. We are going to provide you a certain amount of leads. We're going to give you, all the support, coaching, training, mentoring, everything, right? And we're going to power your business. Well, let's really get the nitty gritty based upon your market. So let's say someone comes in and they want to do, 2 transactions a month in the beginning, right? Plug in 2. Well, ultimately, let's assume that they are doing 50% listings sold, 50% buyer sales. Let's say that somebody has an average sales price of $300,000, right? And they're on a 50-50 split with us, right? Let's just say that's what it is at 3% commission. They're going to be typically a half cap on a market center. We'll just do 10,000 because I pay back half of the other cap, full cap, and that's a whole other conversation. But I'm just giving you a general right now. If someone was to expand with us, $300,000 average sales price, doing 2 deals a month, 50-50 split, and I run these numbers, it comes out, the economic model for that agent would end up earning, basically, they would be at $89,600 as a total 24 transaction net to them profit. And then as a business owner, we would net 66. Okay. So that's $89,000 for somebody, or almost $90,000 to someone doing 2 deals a month at $300,000 at a 50-50 split. Then we get them in running with us. So our goal is someone onboards with us after 6 months. If they're a newer agent, they're doing 2 deals a month. After 18 months, they're doing 3 deals a month. So we get an agent after basically 18 months with us. We get them up, hitting the standards at 3 deals a month. 3 deals a month, we plug them in at an average sales price of $300,000. They're making $142,000 then, basically in 18 months in, and that's net to them.
That's fantastic, Jeff. Well, we could go on for hours, buddy, this stuff, and I know we could. We've just got 1 minute left here. So real quick, last thoughts, any just words of wisdom for our audience? I think that you got to go back to the basics. That's all. I just get back to that. That the fundamentals of real estate and the basics of real estate have never gone out of style. They're not going to go out of style. Learn, and it's all about just becoming. Listen, this is a language business. Okay, this is about learning what to say, how to say it, when to say it. It's a scripted business and helping people make decisions. That's it. Like if you learn what to say and help guide people through helping make decisions, you'll make a freaking fortune. But you got to spend the time going back to the basics of lead generating prospect every day, learning what to say, practicing those scripts, role playing each day. You have no idea. See, here's what I say. What you practice in private is how you get paid in public. No one has seen what Sean and I have done for 25 freaking years behind the scenes. All you see is a shiny, objects. Look, he's looking sharp right now with a suit on, right? Like you see, like he's in Vegas, like all this glitzy stuff. Like, oh my God, lifestyle looks good, and the car he drives. Nobody's seen what we've done behind the scenes. How I used to go to bed with my Walkman on, listening to myself, or recording scripts and on my tape player, right, cassette player, like over and over again. And my wife kicking me like, "You're a weirdo, man." Like so go back to the basics, learn what it takes, the foundation of the real estate, and you learn that, build that, and then pile on top. Jeff, what a great call. Thank you so much for adding such significant value to our audience. Again, if you want to reach out to Jeff, you can send him an email, jeff@thequintingroup.com, correct?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
And as always, guys, if you want a little help, if you want to align with a coach who's been there, done that, well, all you have to do is just text the word discovery to 888-111. And for those of you who are building a team, we've just launched what we call the Accelerated Breakthrough Training Program, where you can offload all that training that needs to be done with your team with Icon. And we're going to share with them the proven best practices around lead generation, lead conversion. We're going to hold them accountable to the standards that produce success. So if you're interested in the Icon Accelerated Breakthrough Program, just drop me an email. It's shon@iconcoachinre.com, or just go ahead and drop me a comment or a message on Facebook. Guys, thank you so much for your investment time. Jeff, awesome, dude. Awesome. You truly are an icon. Until next time, guys, I want you to be on purpose. I want you to be productive. And as always, be powerful. Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you, guys.
Good job, Jeff. Bye-bye.